Now we're ready to sew the top together. Just to make sure that I keep everything in the same spot, I like to take a picture of it so I can refer back to it. I can take a picture and print it out on paper, or I can use an electronic device like this to take a picture of it and keep it next to my machine. I want to sew sections first, here and here, and then I want to sew those sections into rows. I start at the bottom and I place right sides together. In my right hand, I place the seam that I'm going to sew together and I bring it over to my sewing machine. I come up to the next two blocks. I put right sides together. In my hand, I hold the seam that I'm going to sew, put it next to my sewing machine. Next two, I'm going to put right sides together, seam that I'm going to sew in my hand, next to my sewing machine. I'm going to continue doing this on this side. I could bring all the pieces over to my sewing machine right now, but I find that it gets confusing. I do have this picture here to refer to, but I find it easiest just to work in sections like this. I will be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance when I sew my pieces together. I pick up these blocks and I pin them together. I put one pin on each end, and then I put a pin in the middle. I like to use a leader piece to begin sewing. Pick up the next two blocks and I pin them together just like I did on the last one. I put a pin on this end, pin on this end, and then a pin in the middle. I like to chain this to the previous piece, which means I'm going to take and push the two blocks right up and begin sewing. I don't have to lock my seams as they'll be locked together when I sew on the next block. I'm going to continue doing this until this whole stack is sewn together.